Hello, hello, ma'am.
Yes, I can hear you. Continue. PPT. I'll make a handout out of them and I'll send it to the classroom. Don't worry. But I think some of the portions will be hidden under the slide part. Okay. So in that case, you'll get to know that what are the topics. But all the topics cannot be elaborated. You just go and see to them. Okay. I think by today I'll give it to you. So let us try today's class. We already have completed up to the normal declaration and how we use the try and catch to handle the exception in the purview of the user descriptive. Now, while describing the try and catch, we already have an explanation like exception class. Exception class being the superclass of all the exception classes present in the Java environment. So the reference of the exception class can handle or can refer to any type of exception class, any type of exceptions present in the Java environment. So if you have a catch which is having a Java exception reference, so it can be handling any type of exceptions that is created inside the try. Now, after this, we will start today multiple catch for the single try and nested try catch. So multiple try for a single catch means if we have a try block and after that, instead of a single catch block, we can have multiple multiple catch blocks afterwards. Okay. So for example, so this was the example of the normal try catch scenario where inside the try, we have tried these two statements and if any kind of exception will occur here, so that exception will be generated by the JVM and the object will be thrown out of the try. So if an exception is occurring here, in this part, if any exception occurred, then that exception will be thrown out of the try and this statement will not be executed. Okay. So remember this thing, if an exception is occurred here and it is detected by the JVM and the JVM will create the corresponding exception object and after that it will be throwing it out of the try block. So what are the other expressions available afterwards, they're not going to be executed. Now suppose arithmetic exception is occurring here. It is a division by zero error and the arithmetic exception occurred here. So you are going to come over here in this catch block. Now the catch block is declared with the arithmetic exception type of object and that is matching with the type of the exception that occurred. So it could be caught here and whatever are the things you are going to perform accordingly. So you can perform it inside the catch block. Now after the catch block will be executed, as the exception that has occurred here, it is going to be a caught exception in this case. So as it is a caught exception, after catching the exception properly, now you are coming out of the catch and whatever is present afterwards inside your program, that entire thing is going to execute. But if some other kind of exception is going to occur here, like suppose this is an integer format exception or number format exception, sorry. So number format exception will be created due to if inside the %, you are sending some string which is non-convertible into integer. Suppose you send something like, so this 1 to ft, this cannot be converted into integer. So this is actually an error. We call it the number format exception. Okay, so number format exception will be created by the exception handler and it will be thrown out of here and it will try to match the exception type with the catch type present over here. As it is not matching, that means in this case, the exception will be treated as it is an unhandled exception. When it is an unhandled exception, that part is going to be handled by the JVM normally as it will be done without having any kind of exception handling operation inside your program. So what will be done in that case, here also the same thing will happen. Your program will stop then and there. So you cannot reach anything which is present after the try catch block. So the program is going to abort. Now, in this case, you cannot reach to this particular area. Why? Because the exception is becoming unhandled. Why it is becoming unhandled? Because the type of the catch you have mentioned over here is not matching with the type of exception it has occurred. Again, if this AR0, you have a problem with the array index out of bounds. Suppose you are not sending any command line argument, then what will happen? This will become a array index out of bound exception. So in that case also, it will not match with the type of exception you are presenting here. So that means it will be aborted. Okay. So in this case, three types of errors are possible inside the try block, but only one catch is only able to handle one type of error. The other two types are not being handled over here. Now, instead of writing this arithmetic exception, if you just write exception, then what will happen? Exception E. Instead of writing arithmetic exception, if you just write exception E, then what will happen? What will happen? Will it match with any kind of exception that is created inside the try block? We were discussing about the three possibilities: number format exception, array index out of bounds exception, and arithmetic exception. So instead of writing any specific exception here, if you just write the superclass exception E, what will happen? Anyone can guess? I think 50% of you already are aware of Java. Then why don't you answer? So nobody knows. When you have a superclass here, exception is a superclass of any type of exception that could be created here. So if you have a superclass, so that superclass reference can refer to any subclass object. So any kind of exception that can occur inside the try could be caught here in this catch block. So if you do not have specific catch, specific exceptions mentioned in the catch block, and if you just have a generalized thing like something like this, then this catch is a generic catch which can handle any kind of exception. Then why not in every program we have this catch block with normal exception object? Why don't you have? It is better. It can handle any kind of exception. So it will be more generic. If you just write this, then there will be no unhandled exception. So why don't you write it? No guess. If you just write exception E, then what will happen? All the exceptions are going to be handled here. So what will happen for the arithmetic exception? You can code it in a separate domain. What will happen for the array index out of bounds exception? You can code for that. So the remedy could be coded in a separate specific block. So that thing will be missing here. If you catch all the exception under this exception E, then all the exceptions should be handled in the same way. There will be no classified varieties of solution for all the exceptions. Okay. So for having the classified variety of solution for each exception presented inside the try block, you need to have different exception handlers. For different exception, we need to have different exception handlers. So that is why we do not specifically need this catch exception E after all the try blocks. They can handle all kinds of exceptions, but it is not prescribed to have all the exception to be handled under the same specific way. Here, for example, only we have given two statements here, but this is not the way to handle. This is not a remedy for the arithmetic exception. If arithmetic exception is occurring, something should be done. So that something should be coded inside it. This is not a thing that you just have to print the message and the stack trace that is representing the type of exception that you have there. So that is not the purpose of the catch block. The purpose of the catch block is for the remedy of the exception that has occurred there. And all the exceptions cannot have same remedy. So to get rid of that, we generally do not have an exception with the exception E type of object. Okay. Now we were talking about the multiple catch after a single try. So inside a single try, you can see here in this example, inside the single try, you may have different exceptions. So to handle them in their specific way, we can provide separate catches for all of them in this way. Okay. So you can see the same try statement has been provided here. Inside the afterwards, three catch blocks are given. The first catch is for the arithmetic exception. So if the arithmetic exception is occurring here, so what will be the remedy that you can code in this particular area? After that, there is a catch for the array index out of bounds exception. So if the array index out of bounds is occurring, so in that case, you can provide the remedy here. And we do not have the third specific exception, that is the number format exception. Instead, we have a generic exception here that can handle any exception that will be produced inside the try block. Okay. So arithmetic exception, array index out of bounds exception. If you want, you can again have a specific catch for the number format exception. And lastly, we can write this exception E, and this lastly is very important. If you want a catch block with exception E, that should be the last in the list of the multiple catches. If you have to have multiple catches in your program, and if you have to have one of the catch with the exception E, so in that case, that exception E should be the last catch in the list. Why so? Because if you provide this catch part, if you provide this catch here, then whatever will be the exception provided, generally what happens when an exception is created, one by one, the catches are going to be matched with the type of the exception. Which catch will match the type of the exception, that catch will be executed, and the entire try-catch block will be completed, and it will come out of the entire construct. Okay. So if there is a division by 0, so arithmetic exception will be matching with it. So this block will be executed. If there is an array index out of bounds, that means if you forget to pass any argument, any command line argument at the runtime, so obviously this AR0 will not have any meaning, and this will generate a array index out of bounds exception. So firstly, it will try to match it with this no match, so it will come to the next one. The next option is matching with the type of exception it has occurred over here. So this block will be executed, and the entire construct will be broken, and the control will directly come to the next statement after the try-catch combination. Okay. Now, if say the first argument that you are sending is not matching with the format of the integer, so that will be number format exception. So it will try to match it with this, no match. Next, it will try to match it with this, again no match. So it will be coming to the third one, which can match with any kind of exception. So the last module will be executed. Okay. So this is how the multiple catch blocks are driven with the single try. Now, what I was talking about, that is this catch exception E cannot be placed in any other location inside the list of the catch. It cannot be the first one. It cannot be placed before any other specific catch block. Only once all the specific catches are over, then only you can come to the generic exception E. Why so? Because if you place it to the very first position, then all the exceptions that could occur inside the trie, they will have a match with the exception E, because exception E can handle any of the subclasses exception. So all the exceptions are going to match with the exception E. Now what will happen for the other catches? They will be treated as unreachable code. So your compiler will not be able to compile your code. Why? Because all the catches are synced in the exception E. So this is like a black hole. It is taking all the exceptions like a sink. So when it is syncing all the exceptions together, so no exception, there is no such way so that this exception will be not matching with the proper type and the further exception will be checked. There is no chance that this exception will be withdrawn and the other exception will be checked for. And they will become the unreachable code. Okay? So far, only after providing all the specific exceptions, you should provide the generic exception. Okay? So this is the rule for the multiple catches under a single trie. After that, the next thing is the nested trie-catch block. Nested trie-catch block is like in the nested if else or nested for. Okay? So inside a trie, you are having another trie-catch. Inside that, you may have another trie-catch. Even if you can have multiple catches for any of these trie available. So this is how the nested trie-catches are going to be done. In this case, when you go for a nested trie-catch block, it is being done like there will be a system stack. And when you reach to the first trie, the corresponding catch is to be fetched into the stack. So arithmetic exception is fetched into the stack. Then inside this trie, you have another trie. So for the another trie, the corresponding catch will be fetched into the stack. So now you get into the inner trie and you try to execute this statement. And after that, if a exception is occurring, you come out of the inner trie and immediately what you get from the stack itself, if you can see, you get the first one as the array index out of bounds, you pop it and try to match it. If the corresponding exception is not matching with this, if it is matching with this, then the catch will execute and the next line after, immediate after the trie, that will also execute and this catch will not have any meaning and you are coming out of the both the trie and this line will also execute. Now, if the corresponding exception is not matching with this one, is not matching with the catch provided here, so immediately it will move to the next catch, that is the catch of the outer trie. And if there is a match with the outer trie catch, then this catch will be executed. So there is no chance to execute this line here. Okay? So if the inner trie catch is not capable of handling the exception that has occurred inside the inner trie, it will move to the outer trie. As you can see in the stack, the next one is the outer trie catch. So in the outer trie catch, it will try to find a match. If there is a match, then the outer trie catch will be executed. And meanwhile, you cannot come back to this line in this case. Okay? And after completion of this, you can execute the next thing what is available after the inner trie. Okay? So a portion of the inner trie, a portion of the outer trie block is going to be skipped, as the catch is not capable of handling the exception that has occurred inside the inner trie. Now, if an exception is occurring here, so the rule is very simple. It is occurring inside the outer try. Inner try has never started. So it will be directly moving to the corresponding catch and will try to find a match with this catch. So when the catch will be completed, if there is a match, then this catch will be completed and it will come out from here. So there will be no chance to reach to the further elements present inside the outer try. Now say, if you execute the program with a command like this, so what will be the output of this code? What will be the output of this code if somebody executes the code with this command line data? Please try this. What is the command line argument you are sending here?
Arithmetic exception will happen.
Arithmetic exception will occur. Why? Because this AR0 is having the value of 0, and when it is converted to integer, it will become 0. So 20 divided by 0, it is a division by 0. That is coming in the category of arithmetic exception. So it will be thrown out from here. And where it will be going? First, it will try to catch it here within the inside try, and the catch is not matching with the category. So it will be coming out and it will try to match it with the outer catch, and there is a match. So it will be printing the message and all that will be printed for the outer try. So arithmetic exception, then division by 0 error, and after that the message is division by 0. So these two lines will be printed, and then it will print after outer try catch, as it is going to be a handled exception here. Okay. So this will never run this part. This will never run this part. These two parts are skipped, as the exception has occurred here and it cannot be handled inside the inner try. Now suppose somebody is writing this much, then what will happen? What will happen?
Out of bound exception.
Yeah, array index out of bounds exception. So this AR0 doesn't have a meaning if you don't pass any argument here. So AR0 doesn't exist. So that means this out of bounds exception will occur, and that you can handle over here. So it will be printing the message corresponding to out of bound exception. 0 is not a valid index, that kind of thing will be printed. Afterwards, it will come to after inner try catch. So this line will be executed because this has already been handled beforehand. So it will also print after inner try catch. Then this catch is not required, and both the inner try outer try will be broken, and here it will come after outer try catch. So the output will be the message from the array index out of bound, then after inner try catch, then after outer try catch. So this is going to be the output for this. Now if then what will happen? What will happen? AR0 is 2 here.
It will only print 10. Then after inner try catch, then after outer try catch.
Exactly so. So it will first print 10 here. This is 10. Then it will print after inner try catch. Then it will print after outer try catch. And lastly, another option we have 2AB. So that is a number format exception, na? So if you try to fetch some 2AB a string 2AB through this integer %, it will generate the number format exception. So it will be thrown out of it. It is not matching here. It is again thrown out of it. It is not matching here. So that means it will be finally going to the JVM exception handler, default exception handler, and that will print that under such and such location the error number format exception has occurred, and then it will be stopping your code at that particular position. So no other print statement will be executed afterwards. Okay, so this type of things you may have to guess as an output. So this is the now if you have multiple catches for any of this try, then accordingly you have to form the system stack. Okay, so from the system stack, one after another the choices are popped out and the matches are going to be done. So this was all about the try catch. So normal try catch with the exception, the generic exception class, then nested try catch and multiple catches for a single try. Now after we have try catch finally. So try catch we already know, the extra thing we add here is the finally. So finally is a block which follows the try catch block. Without having try catch, there is no meaning of having a finally in your code. And what is the special thing about the finally block is, finally block, what you write inside the finally block, even you have a caught or uncaught exception in your try, the finally will always execute. Okay, so if you go here, this is a statement which is present after the try catch, and this will only execute if the exception is a caught exception. If your catches are able to handle the exception in them, then only the print statement after outer try catch, this will be executed. Now, if you have some inevitable part of the code that needs to be handled under any circumstance, in that case, you put it inside the finally block. So inside the try block, whatever exception will be generated, inside the catch block, if you cannot handle the exception, so it is going to be an unhandled exception. So exception in this mean can be of two types, handled and unhandled exception. So if it is a handled exception, it's okay. If it is an unhandled exception, so in this case, generally what will happen, this will go to the JVM and JVM then and there terminates your program. So the inevitable part of your code is going to be unexecuted. Okay. So in this case, if you put this system.out.println after outer try catch inside the finally block starts with the keyword finally, then after that you have a block like this. So if you put it inside the finally block, so that will be executed if there is a handled exception or if there is an unhandled exception. So if array index out of bound is generated, so it is a handled exception, finally will execute. If it is arithmetic exception, it is handled exception, finally will execute. If it is a number format exception and it is being an unhandled exception, still finally will execute. And then the JVM will handle the unhandled exception of its own. Okay. So that is the difference between the finally and normally writing anything after the catch block. So according to this, finally block may be included in a program after the try catch block. It executes whether or not the exception could be handled by the try catch block above. It generally includes all such important codes which must execute even an uncaught exception occurred. For example, what kind of codes are basically such important? Closing an open file, releasing the resources. So already suppose you have opened a file and it is mandatory to close the file from within your code, as because if you do not close it properly, then the file may be having a header error afterwards. Okay, so that type of code, then if you're using some external resources of the computer system in your program, and the resources are already been allocated to you by the operating system, now you have to release those resources properly so that the operating system can identify these are now released or free, so that can be further allocated to some other programs which need them. Okay, so these type of codes are actually the inevitable portion of your code. So these codes must be included in the finally block. So finally basically is having a similarity with the finalize. Before execution of the garbage collector, the finalize method executes, and it also includes the inevitable part of your code that needs to be executed before the garbage collector terminates your object. Here also, before termination of your program due to some uncaught exception, whatever inevitable part of your program is there, so just put it inside finally, so that will be executed even if there is an uncaught exception. So this is the example of such exception. So the catch is only capable of handling the number format exception. But as we have this try, the same try like the previous examples, so this try is prone to different errors. No, the division thing is not here. So this is prone to the array index out of bounds also. So if you have array index out of bounds, in that case it will be an uncaught exception. So in that case, finally will only execute, but this portion will not execute. So if you execute this code with this option, or if you execute this code with this option, so first try with 2AB. So that means this 2AB will come over here and it will find there is a format, number format exception. So it will be thrown out of the try. It will match the corresponding catch. So it has become a handled exception. And whatever is present inside this catch, so that part is going to be executed. Then the finally will execute. Then whatever you have here after the try catch finally, that thing will be executed. But if you have simply something like this, then what will happen? This 2 will be converted into integer and will be saved inside this A. After that it will print A equal to 2. Catch is not required as there is no error. Finally will execute. If there is error, if there is no error, if there is a handled exception, if there is an unhandled exception, in any case the finally will execute. So finally will execute in that case, and then whatever is following after this try catch finally, so that will be executed. But if you have just this Java driver, so that means this AR0 is forming a array index out of bound exception. So that means the exception will be thrown out, and there is no match with the catch provided afterwards. So that means it is an uncaught exception. So finally will execute. So it will print inside finally. Then whatever is written afterwards, that part will not execute, because afterwards it is going for the default exception handler, and the program will stop then and there, and the corresponding message will be printed. So before the message you will see inside finally. So that was present inside the finally block. Okay. So finally means the block which is following the try catch and which is having all inevitable part of your code as the finally executes for error, no error, exception, no exception, and unhandled exception, handled exception. For all the cases, the finally will execute. Now regarding the finally, a very common question is compare the purpose of using final, finally, and finalize. All three are different things. Finally is a block, final is a access specifier, and finalize is a method. But all three have their specific meaning and they are actually rhyming together. So you have to write the purposes of them and also with a short code that demonstrates the purpose of these keywords. The next keyword is throw. So 5 keywords we were having: try, catch, finally, throw, and throws. So this one is the fourth one. The fourth one is throw. Now what is throw? Normally predefined exceptions are automatically thrown by the JRE based on the situation. So there will be an exceptional situation that will be identified by the JRE. If it is a known exceptional situation, JRE will be forming the corresponding exception classes object, and that object will be given back to the method to throw it to the corresponding catch if there is any. If there is any mechanism of try catch, so to the catch it will be thrown. But if there is no try catch mechanism present over there, so it will be thrown out to the JRE, back to the JRE, and the default exception handler will handle it. So this creation of the object, which object has to be created, and the creation of the object and throwing it, this thing is to be done by the JVM or JRE, whatever you say. In the programmer, if the programmer wants to throw an exception object forcefully, then throw keywords is used. Basically, if the situation is not matching with the available or pre-described exceptional situations, so obviously JRE cannot find this is an exceptional situation. So JRE cannot create the exception object and throw it as well. So in that case, what the user has to do, the user has to create the exception object forcefully and throw it out of the try block. And that throw has to be done using this throw keyword. So manually or forcefully, if you want to throw an exception object out of the try, then throw keyword has to be used. It is mandatory to use throw keyword, user-defined exception, obviously so. User-defined exceptions are such exceptions where it is not predefined, the user is coding for them. Okay, so in that case, if the user is defining the situation, it is not identifiable by the JRE. So in that case, you have to use a throw to create and throw the exception object corresponding to them. Otherwise, it will not be possible for the JRE to find out the exceptional situation when it is defined by the user program. It is not predefined by the Java environment. It is not included in the Java environment. It is being created by the user program. So the user has to use the throw keyword when they are using the user-defined exception. It is not mandatory for the other cases. For the predefined or already included exception objects, it is not mandatory to use throw. But if you are going to use the predefined exception classes, the object of the predefined exception classes, if you want to use them for a specific purpose which is not actually matching with their own purposes, predefined purposes, so in that case, throw keyword you have to use. That is manually or forcefully throwing exception out of the try. Just go by this exception example. So basically, division is going to be take place here, and according to that, there is a method present here. We have to make it static as there it is going to be called from the main. Main is a static method, so the div method is also static. So simply it is taking two integers and dividing x with y, and that value, the quotient, is returned from here. So that's it. Now inside the try block, we are trying if the argument length That means when you are going to run this division operation, at least exactly two arguments you need, two integer arguments you need. So two integer arguments, that will be the requirement of this code. So if AR.length is not equal to 2, means it can be less, it can be more, but it is not equal to 2. When you have exact two arguments, then it is fine. If you have less or more, in that case, you are detecting the situation in this way, and if the condition is satisfied, and you are writing everything inside the try. So if the condition is satisfied, we are using a throw keyword, and afterwards we have created an object of the illegal argument exception. Illegal argument exception is a predefined exception class for which we are creating an object, and through it we are sending a string that is basically going to set the message under this exception object. So the message is going to be invalid input. Okay. So if improper number of arguments are being passed, in that case we are generating object of the illegal argument exception with a message of invalid input, and that we are throwing out. We are throwing it out of the try block, and we are having a matching catch here, where from we are trying to print the statement, we are trying to print the stack trace that will identify that there is an error and the error message is invalid input. Or else you can have a value to be, the first one is to be, if the first argument is to be converted into A, the second argument is to be converted into B, and after that you call the diff function with A and B so that A by B is to be calculated and the result will be printed over here. Okay. So if there is a match with this AR.length, so object of this illegal argument exception, which is a predefined exception, that is going to be created manually, and that is manually thrown out of the try. Now, why we need to create the object manually and why we need to throw it manually? Because AR length not equal to 2 is not a declared error. For this particular code, the error, this is going to be an error, as you need only two arguments as input, and in that case only, this program is not supporting less or more argument than this two. But this is not a predefined error. In case of JVM, JVM cannot detect this scenario as an error. This is not an error. You may have less argument, you may have more argument, even you can have 0 argument. So that is not an error to the JVM. But in this case, in your program, this type of situation, you are trying to handle it using the exception handler. And so far, manually, you have created object of the exception class and you are throwing it out manually as well. Okay. So this is the purpose of the throw keyword, which is generally needs to be done by the JVM. If the JVM is not capable of handling or creating the object due to the scenario is not known to the JVM, it is not an error situation to the JVM, still you want to handle the error through your user program. So in that case, you can throw the error manually. You can throw the exception manually, and that is to be done using the throw keyword. Okay. So I'm leaving it by here. Next day, probably we will be completing the chapter with the throws and the user defined exception. Do you have any query up to this? If you have any query, then please ask. Or else I will think that all are clear. Or all clear.
No, ma'am, no query.
Hello?
No query.
Okay. Very good. Answer to the roll call. Roll number 1.
Yes, ma'am.
2.
Yes, ma'am.
3.
Yes, ma'am.
5. 6. 7.
Yes, ma'am.
9,
Yes, ma'am.
10,
Yes, ma'am.
11,
Yes, ma'am.
12,
Yes, ma'am.
13, 14, 17,
Yes, ma'am.
17 is here, na?
Yes, ma'am. 17.
19, 19, 20, 21, 22, 22, okay. 23,
Present, ma'am.
24,
Yes, ma'am.
23, 24,
24. Yes, ma'am.